Join the Hans and Scotty show. Noon to 3 tomorrow. Hans and Scotty are going to be at Tim Dolly Nissan, Southtown. 11155 South Jordan Gateway in South Jordan. Tim Dolly, home of the Forever Warranty.
Forever. That's a long time.
That really is.
You people are big on forever.
Forever and ever and ever. DJ PK, and we're joined now by Frank Dolce, former Ute quarterback. Frank, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Frank, have you been spending more time wondering whether Kyle Whittingham is going to retire, or have you spending more time thinking, I wonder if Kalani would really go to Penn State, or if this is all leverage?
I've been spending most of my time wondering why Utah's struggling against the run so much.
I think they got bored.
What? That's been mostly on my mind. I thought the Kalani to Penn State news was interesting. I don't know. I think that I feel like that might be a little bit of a leverage deal. But I know that Kalani also had, once upon a time, I don't know if that's true anymore, once upon a time had thoughts of being associated with an iconic program like that. So I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't say it's completely leverage, but just feeling it out a little bit. Coach Whittingham retiring. The talk seems to be really ramping up these days, and I don't know. People are trying to make a lot of the things that Coach Whittingham is saying right now about retirement. And at the end of the year, I think it's always natural to feel like that. And because it's just a long season. It's a grind, and it is emotionally and physically and spiritually all of the taxing. I mean, it's just difficult. And so I think this time of the year, it's natural to think, oh, I don't know if I can go through this again. And then all of a sudden you're in the off season for a month and you think, well, you know what? I really like the team that's coming back, or I really feel like I have more to give, or whatever it is. Although I understand that Coach Whittingham does have a little bit of a time frame that he has to let the administration know.
He does.
So that will come into play.
Coming up next week is the drop dead deadline. That doesn't mean they have to announce it, but he has to let them know. I think he could easily go another 3, 4, 5 years if he wanted. I don't think his health is an issue. I don't think his motivation is an issue. Any of that stuff, incentive, desire, competitiveness, he's still got all that, and I believe he'll have that. In fact, I told him that once. I said, if it comes down to you not having competitiveness, well, then at that point you will be dead because you're a Whittingham and you've got it every day. It's just a question of what he wants to do with his life, not all those other things. He'll always have that, but does he want to channel that in a different way? Because for all of us, time runs out. And his father, it ran out when he was 64. Yeah,
right. Interesting, Coach Chris Peterson, he's a guy that seems like he, in terms of health and intellect and the ability to coach, he still has all of the tools, but it feels like he just completely lacks the desire. He's had plenty of opportunities since he's retired, and I don't think he's even taken a sniff at anything. He's just I'm done.
Right.
It's done. It's gone, and he's recognized that, and he's moved on.
Yeah, I think for some people change is hard, but I think Kyle, he doesn't. I don't know that he relishes change, but he rolls with it much easier than many do.
Yes, I don't disagree with that, but what is the change? What is the retirement? I feel like he has to be in something. I don't think that he steps away, like we said a week ago, and he's golfing 4 days a week, and he's, doing whatever else, without some being mixed up in some competitive, strategic, something that challenges him. don't know that I see him stepping away and not having something like that in his life.
Well, he'd still be involved as an ambassador with the university, with the football program, the university, and he's got his family, and he's one of these dudes, and I can speak from experience on this. He does a lot of things that don't go noticed, and are just completely public is totally unaware of his desire to help people.
Yeah. So do you see him running? Do you see him running an organization, like a not-for-profit, a nonprofit? Do you see him? I could see him stepping away and being, like you said, an ambassador, but maybe a more engaged.
Yeah, the way
like the
Ron
chairman of the
McBride
board.
has turned out to be, what would you say, a community asset. Ron McBride's got his hand in a lot of different things to make the community better.
I mean, he could go out on the circuit and just make the rounds of talking to
morning sports
visiting
talk
and
shows.
talking.
Morning sports talk shows.
Yeah, yes, motivational speaking. I don't want to call it inspirational speaking. Business coaching sort of stuff. I think he could make the rounds doing that and be very good at it. He's super thoughtful. So I mean, I guess you're kind of talking me into Kyle Whittingham retiring, but I'm standing firm. Like there has to be something. I don't know. What I like retirement to me is that is it's a little frightening. Like,
oh, totally.
I don't want to step away and have no sense of purpose.
Retirement in your 50s is a dream and a fantasy, and then in your 60s, it's a scary reality that you don't want no part of.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
It sounds good when you're younger and you're going to fantasize of these great times, but then it's right there in front of you. Oh my gosh. No way.
Yeah.
Because then that means you're doing what you're going to doing what you're doing when you're going to die, and that it faces you, it stares back at you in the mirror, and it can be an ugly look, especially if you're me.
I think there's a couple things to hit on. Well, for everybody, there's the financial piece, but of course, with his job, so you can check that box.
Yeah.
But then there's the staying connected to something. What you just said about sense of purpose. Like, what is your purpose?
Yeah.
What do you do? Everybody else has got their day and they're going on. Like, what do you do and why do you do it? And do you enjoy doing it? And to PK's point, he's got a lot of grandkids, and he wants to be involved with them in a way he couldn't be with his kids when he was coaching. But the grandkids go to school, so there's a big chunk of the day that they're not available.
We'll go to the gym. I need a spotter.
And then also a circle of people to interact with. Do you have a circle of people to interact with? Because when you leave a job, you lose all that interaction with those people.
Yeah, and it's just so natural to have that, and so you have to work at having that interaction. I've seen, like, in my own experience with people I've known who I know who have retired, and that seems to be like the most challenging part, and they're always searching for that social aspect, and that's super challenging. So I would say those two are like right on top, having a sense of purpose and having a community where you're still engaged and have a group of people where you can go interact on a daily basis. We're just social animals, and I think that's a requirement.
I like to think of myself as a social butterfly rather than a social animal.
I think a lot of people think of you as a butterfly, PK.
And Frank, thanks for telling Hanley that I'm a good guy.
Hanley doesn't know how deep we go back, and he was reaching out, like kind of like inquisitive, like, I don't know. I mean, I ran into this guy, and I know him on the radio, but I don't know what I should think about him. And I did you a solid. Don't worry.
I know you do. If you know me, yes. If you don't, it's probably best you keep me at arm's length.
Well, Hanley's one of the best. Like, you get to know that guy, and he'll be forever in your social circle. Like, that's the guy you want around. He'll keep you right on your toes.
Do you care about the bowl destination, or is it playoff or bust for you?
No, playoffs not even a thing. Like, yeah. Big 12 and playoffs isn't even a thing. It's kind of ridiculous, and I think the Big 12 is getting short. Getting the stiff arm here on this whole thing, but and it's a competitive league, and it's a league that would compete, especially with, upper echelon in the Big Ten, upper echelon in the SEC. Those are teams that are just going to be hard for anyone to beat. But you drop down from that, and it's not such a far drop.
Right.
Then Big 12 is very competitive.
100%
in all of all those other areas. So I think they're just getting shafted on this one.
Some system was created, and Utah supposedly, allegedly didn't qualify, but they had a banner season, and they were a really good football team.
Yeah, I think all of those things, and the way that they've won games this year has been exciting. Not standard, not typical Utah wins. I think it's a very entertaining football team. Offensively, there's such a depth of who's going to make a play this week, which guy's going to step up this week. It's been very interesting to watch that unfold, and the way that it's been managed by Coach Beck and that offensive staff, who I think have, in lots of ways, have really found hit their stride in the latter part of this football season. Clearly, as they've won games when the defense was faltering a little bit. And by the way, the defense faltering, like those two games, it's 2 games in a row now, and maybe a season of kind of thinking like, well, there's been some plays in the run game, but as a defense that has such a great DNA and foundation in technically how to play on the defensive side, such a wealth of experience of coaching the defensive side. Like it may have been 2 weeks in a row, but I don't see that lasting longer. Like they'll get that corrected. They'll get that figured out. And there's enough talent on the field to manage all of that. So yeah, I'm super optimistic about this football team. The way they finished, I think early in the season, lost a couple games and people were losing their minds, including me a little bit. Like, where is this team headed? They just did an amazing job of getting it right back on track and feeling like they could go into any scenario and be really, really competitive.
The offense, do you think it's going to produce like this because of the nature of the offense, or they did have at least 2 and maybe more NFL guys up front, and the run blocking was excellent, and that's what made the offense go?
Yeah. Whenever you win at the line of scrimmage consistently,
your offense looks
then
great.
You're just going to you're just going to win. Like that that's just as much as we talk about everything else, and Dampier throwing a great pass at the end of the game, and Parker running for 100 yards and breaking through the line of scrimmage. All of those things are amazing. And none of those things happen unless the offensive line is creating the opportunity. So it just all happens right at the line of scrimmage. And since Texas Tech, I don't think they played their best against BYU, but since Texas Tech, really, that offensive line has now, I think, at least reached the level of expectation.
Well, Frank, you have reached our level of expectation.
Oh, exceeded it.
Really?
Yeah,
exceeded it.
Yeah. Thank you, PK. Thank you, PK.
We will let you go. We appreciate the time, as always.
Hey, you guys are the best. I've so enjoyed being with you this year. Do we have another one of these? Are we going to do a bowl game special?
Oh,
or something?
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Find the destination and opponent. Yeah.
Yep. And we'll
Come
know
out
that.
Sunday.
Yeah.
We'll know that another week.
What are we thinking?
Vegas.
What are we thinking?
Vegas.
Who?
I don't know. Somebody out of the Big Ten, but I don't know.
Yep, that.
Nebraska, Illinois, Iowa. Somebody of that ilk. How's that for a big
I
fancy
like all
word?
of. I like all of those. I like all those matchups. I like all those matchups. I think that's good.
Well, then we
Okay.
have to find out who's actually going to play in the bowl game. Seems like there's a bunch of guys who might be best served by not playing in the bowl game.
For Utah?
Yeah. Yeah, if you're going to get drafted, don't get hurt in the bowl game.
Oh, man. I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, like, if you're heading into the playoffs, everybody's playing. And if you're playing in a bowl game, then people are a little more thoughtful about the next level.
Yep.
You know what? Unfortunately, I mean, I want to say that you're committed to the team, you're there for the bowl game, you have to play. But I have a hard time not leaning the other way. Like, you know what? They've done their time.
Yeah.
The bowl game is whatever. And bowl games are almost meaningless these days. Like, how many bowl games are there? 70? I don't know.
I think there's 40,
And so,
give or take.
yeah, close.
40. Yeah, 40.
And so I was rounding up, as Alema says. I was rounding up. So, I mean, like, I just have a hard time not saying, yeah, this guy has a whole future ahead of him. And this one opportunity to maybe set up his family for life or whatever. And so you just have to be really thoughtful about that.
He's Frank Dolce. We talk to him every week. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up, Jay Paterno is going to join us, son of the legend Joe, and we will talk Penn State's football search with him and Kalani Sitake's future. Stay with us.
Since the game went final in Lubbock,
Touchdown, Parker Kingston.
the Cougars have wanted a rematch with the Red Raiders. Now they've got it, with a guaranteed spot in the college football playoff on the line. Listen all week long for the best coverage of BYU in the Big 12 title game, with exclusive interviews and analysis you won't get anywhere else. Then, on Saturday, catch a special Big 12 title game edition of College Football Game Day beginning at 8 a.m. with a post-game show immediately following the game. Exclusive Big 12 title game coverage on The Zone is presented by JCW's, The Burger Boys, quality and a lot of it. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at kslsports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week,
Who's
sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and
Who else?
Beehive Meals.
Da-da-dun-da-da.
Da-da-da-dun-da-dun-da-dun-dun. Beehive Meals.
Ooh, Crumble is trending now on Twitter. Crumble.
Crumble getting
Guy's
Eddie up.
laying down the line there. Time for him to get off the sidelines.
And this is just random people on Twitter calling out the Crumble CEO. Nice. All right, DJ PK, we're joined now by Jay Paterno. Jay, welcome to the show.
Good to be on, guys.
He is the Nittany Game Week host, analyst, and, of course, a former Penn State assistant coach, and you probably recognize the last name Paterno. So there you go. Obviously, we're sitting here in Utah, and we're hearing all of this about Kalani Sitake and Penn State. I'm wondering what it sounds like at Penn State and how it's landing with the Penn State fan base.
Well, you know, the Penn State fan base right now, it's interesting because we're in day 51. You know, we were one of the first schools out to fire the coach, and now we're probably one of the last ones standing. So there's a lot of impatience right now. Terry Smith, who was the interim head coach, did a great job in the 6 weeks. Almost beat a miracle catch away from beating Indiana, lose to Iowa by 1 on the road, and then wins the last 3. So there was a lot of sentiment among the fan base for hiring Terry Smith, but that does not seem to be what the administration is thinking. So certainly there's a lot of curiosity. Not a lot of people out here know that much about BYU. And here, I thought you guys wanted me to come on and give you a breakdown of the Big 12 championship game.
We wouldn't mind that.
Listen, I like BYU's chances Saturday. I really do.
It's unfortunate in that sense that the Kalani Sitake story to Penn State supersedes the actual game on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's the unfortunate of where we are in college football. It's until, I'm on the board of trustees at Penn State, and I've had discussions with other Big Ten trustees about at some point it's time for the governing bodies of these schools to try and sit down and really remake, we don't want to get into who's hired as coach and all that kind of stuff, but it's time to remake the calendar to be realistic about what we are. And that's just not happening. But I certainly hope that for BYU's sake, whatever's going on, that the team focuses, goes out and plays a really good game. I think, you look at the last game when they played, if BYU doesn't turn the ball over and they're better on third downs, they probably got a chance to beat them. They did a great job against Texas Tech's offense, which is incredible. But they handed them 6 points, and I still can't get around number 47 running around a quarterback. I mean, I remember Flutie wearing 22, and I'm old enough to remember Flutie wearing 22, and that was like, wow, that's an ugly quarterback number. But this is beyond. But look, I hope that they focus in and really go out and win. If they win, I hope they focus in. I hope that they don't have the disruption in their playoff run that Ole Miss has had.
I think for BYU, they need to increase the funding in the football program, and that's been the major issue. They're towards the bottom in the Big 12, and they need to step up, especially because the basketball program is funded through the roof, and the fact is, I don't know if it's jealousy or envy or probably irritation. The football guys are irritated that the basketball gets shown so much love and the football doesn't, and people don't want to hear that, but that's just a fact. And if you knew where we're getting that information, you would say, yeah, okay, that's true, because we'll just leave it at that. As far as what Penn State has from a distance, I mean, we know about. I grew up in New Jersey, and my mother's last name ended in a vowel, so Paterno was.
There you go.
Paterno was always big in our household, obviously for obvious reasons there, so with that in mind, we have a feel for it, but just the level of commitment that Penn State can offer. Could you delve into that?
Well, if you look at what we've done and these are public numbers, these are not trustee numbers that I shouldn't reveal to you. These are public numbers. We've been top 5 in the country in football budget. We've been top 5 in football salaries, and we've been top 5 in recruiting budget. So the money has been there. Now, the NIL money gets tricky because where does it come from? How do you allocate it? And it's a whole different world this year with revenue sharing. But certainly we have not shied away from it. In fact, last year, really, our administration and our football program went all in to retain a bunch of guys. It just didn't work out the way everybody thought it was going to work out. And I think the danger is when you go that route where it's all about resources, it's easy to put the money together to build a roster, but can the right guy build a team? And I think that's where we kind of fell short a little bit this year. But the commitment is definitely there. Having said that, being on X or Twitter or whatever we're calling it last night, it seems like some people don't realize there's a lot of money in the LDS church. I mean, you're tithing people, so they've got some cash, and there's a lot of other people involved. You guys mentioned, how the cookie's going to crumble on this one. We'll find out, to make that reference. But
nice.
There's a bunch of guys out there that are on social media saying we've got this covered. So, we'll see where, as I said, we'll see where the cookie crumbles.
All right, you're doing very well here, Jay. Good work. I'm curious if we could step away from the money, and I don't know that you ever step away from the money that far, but let's just step away from the money for a second. What about the thought of somebody who's lived his life on the western side of the United States suddenly going back east, and can you hire enough assistants who are tied into that area? Does that even matter in the NIL house settlement money era? Does it just come down to tell the players how much do they think they're going to play and how much they're going to get paid, and all the relationship stuff is old school and out the window?
And I think that's a great question. I think the relationship stuff still matters. I started my coaching career at UVA, and Bronco Mendenhall came out and did a good job, but there was still almost a little bit of a disconnect between Virginia and where he was coming from. But he did a good job, so I think that's possible. I think sometimes you got to clear some hurdles to get here and do that kind of stuff. But if he comes here, we'll see, and certainly he'll have all the support that he would want. But again, I don't know if that's where that whole thing is right now. But certainly that is something that the NIL stuff does change that a little bit. But I don't know if it changed it that drastically.
Do you think Penn State has made its best offer to Kalani?
I don't know. I mean, we have not. We as a board, the compensation committee would be more informed on that, and I'm not on. I used to be on it, I'm not on it now. But what's being reported would probably be at the top end of what we can throw at somebody. But again, I don't know if what's being reported is actually accurate, but we'll see.
Is there ever a sense in the Penn State fan base or donor base? I mean, chasing Ohio State, you're chasing. You're trying to slay the dragon here. Is that a good idea to put that on the coach, or does that put him in a bad spot from the beginning? Or it doesn't matter, that's the job, suck it up, Buttercup?
All the above. No, I mean, the reality is Ohio State right now is performing at a level and playing at a level. And again, you could talk about all the money that they have or have not spent. And again, with that, in the NIL world, there's really not much transparency right now. So what's reported, who knows what they're really spending, but they're doing a great job coaching, doing a great job on the field. We've had a bunch of games over the last 10 years where we've lost in the last minute or so against them. So we've been right there. And if you look at the kind of talent that's come out of here, we're not that far off from them. It's just been, in some game day situations, we haven't closed the deal. So, but that's the nature of the business in this league. Now with the 12-team playoff, it does change the calculus quite a bit because you don't have to win the league to get in to the playoff. And if you get in the league and you get hot, I mean, heck, Ohio State didn't win the league last year and they won the whole thing. But I think that's, the reality is that you're in a very, very competitive environment here in the Big Ten now.
Yeah, and that is something. I spent 23 years in newspapers as a beat writer. And here 14 with the newspaper here in town. So I've had an opportunity to travel around the country covering college football for BYU, Utah, and even Utah State for that matter during my 14 years as the beat writer over there at the newspaper. And, it always amazed me that on our side of the country, we like football, but on your side of the country, which obviously is in the Southeast and it extends into portions of the Northeast, that it's not about liking football, it's about loving and living football. And you see that the pressure that comes with it. And you look at James Franklin, and he's fired basically midway through the season after having produced double-digit wins the prior 3 years. And I don't know, maybe SC, maybe Oregon, that would happen, but I think that's about it on our side of the country, that there'd be no way they would fire somebody. Can you speak to the pressure that is involved in being the head football coach at Penn State? Because from our perspective, it looks like James Franklin did a halfway decent job at minimum.
Yeah, it's ramped up. And I think, and I don't know where, I think part of it is the game has become so professionalized. My dad coached here for 46 years, never talked about his salary, never talked about money. In fact, his last year at Penn State made his salary was $1.1 million. I think he was 10th out of 11 in the Big Ten. Only Northwestern was behind him. So the fan base didn't feel like, hey, this guy's getting all this money. He owes us. Plus, he had a track record over 46 years that was pretty good. So I think, but with the amount of money being spent on coaches, the amount of money being spent on players, and, with legalized gambling like it is now, fans feel they look at the game as been professionalized. They feel a different type of ownership of the game, as well as being, quote unquote, more, in pun intended, more invested in the outcome of the game. I think there's more anger and vitriol when you don't meet what they expect. And heading into the season, I felt very, very nervous about what the expectations were for James Franklin and his team, because you don't just wave a magic wand, sign a bunch of players, and win the whole thing. And even after the Oregon game, there was not a sense of, hey, we just lost the number 2 or 3 team in the country. all the goals we have ahead of us are still there. Let's everybody calm down. Let's go win the next. It was almost like a morgue in town around here. Everybody was in a it's like somebody had died. And I said, somebody said, look, we're 3-1 and we got, we can still make the playoff. We can still win the national championship. It just was one of those things. But the pressure definitely is ramped up.
So is the pressure ramped up to get Kalani's name on the dotted line? I mean, when you say it's day 51, I mean, I'm old enough to remember
I don't mean to laugh,
started
but
counting
it's day
days.
51.
Yeah, it was a hostage scenario. It was real life, not college football. But that does tell you a little bit about the intensity around this. So I'm curious, if it's not him, who is it, and how quickly does it have to move as signing day blows by us? The 3-day signing period blows by us here at the end of the week.
Well, you'd like to see it move sooner than later. You'd hate to go into championship weekend and we're still out there without a coach. Given that we acted so early, I think UCLA and Virginia Tech were the only two schools ahead of us that fired their coaches. So now, all these days later, certainly there's a lot of pressure. And if it's not, if it doesn't end up being Kalani, I don't know who it's going to be. There's a lot of names being floated around. But, we'll see. I mean, and Terry Smith is still sitting here at Penn State, having done a great job. When you look at the team where this team was playing at the level they were playing at when he took over and where he is now, the argument was he hasn't been a head coach. Well, 6 weeks later, he's halfway through. So certainly I think he's still in the mix. I would hope. And certainly I'm not sure exactly where they go next if this doesn't work out.
As I said, growing up in New Jersey, being Irish Italian, which there's a lot of us running around out there. It was, as far as college football goes at that part of the country, it was Notre Dame or it was Penn State. And that was pretty much it. And that's what we thought of, and those are the teams we followed. How is it now in terms of the high school kids? The way we viewed it is like, well, if you were real big time, you either went to Penn State or Notre Dame. What's the mindset in the region as far as what Penn State football is about for the high school recruits?
Well, I still think Penn State commands that kind of respect and attention from recruits. But with NIL and with the Big Ten really being established all the way into the East Coast, Ohio State, Michigan, those schools have done a great job getting to New Jersey. Rutgers is doing a better job of keeping some of those kids home. So I think there's more and more people now in that marketplace that are coming in and recruiting. Notre Dame still coming in there. You're even seeing some teams from the South come up and start to recruit in New Jersey and stuff like that. And you feel like, hey, you guys got enough players down there, just stay down there. But I mean, that's the reality. Everybody's looking for the best players wherever they are. But Penn State certainly still commands that kind of respect.
Jay, we appreciate the time and the perspective, letting us know how things are going in the other Happy Valley. Kalani will end up in Happy Valley one way or another. Thanks for your time.
Exactly. So thanks for having me on, guys. And I'm hoping BYU pulls this thing out this weekend. Really am.
All right. Jay Paterno, he joins us here to talk about the Kalani Sitake search. And will he end up at Penn State? We are going to take a break. When we come back, tickets. It's the Utah Jazz Ticket Tuesday. We should have given them away at 8:30. Hey,
should we do the 2-word thing?
Better late than never. Yeah, you got 2 words from a fan to you?
A listener, yeah.
A listener?
I don't like to call them fans.
Okay. We'll do that next. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Whirls around and down.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone is your exclusive home of the Utah Jazz. And we want to send you to the Delta Center to see the Jazz in action. Listen every Tuesday for the Jazz Ticket Tuesday Sounder at 30 past the hour, every hour, all day long. And if you're caller number 12, you'll be on your way to an upcoming game.
Buy one, you'll get one free.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, every Tuesday throughout the NBA season on your radio home for the Utah Jazz. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, tell us about this interaction in 2 words, which has been immortalized by Kyle Whittingham. They need to put more of his halftime speeches out on social media. That was a postgame. But his halftime and his postgame.
Yeah.
The Alabama halftime. No, go out there and make them quit. I was ready to run through a wall just listening to it.
Yeah, I was there at that game. They did make him quit. That was a fine win for Kyle Whittingham. One of his better ones, obviously. Capped an undefeated season. The 2 words. So yesterday I go home and listen to the Big 12 thing. We'll get to that in the next segment with Brett Yormark talking about BYU versus Notre Dame, and he used Notre Dame for example as far as resume and all that. And if you went blind, who would you pick, not knowing the names of the programs and the prestige that Notre Dame has, obviously. And so then I worked on a story, wrote it up. It's at KSL.com. You can check it out. I think it is a distraction. Needs to be settled with the Kalani situation and all that stuff. BYU needs to pony up. That's a fact. And with that in mind, then that took me a couple hours or so. And then I went to the gym. And I'm walking through the parking lot, and there's cars there. So you're walking between cars to get to your car, right? We've all done that. And so my car, I see it. So I'm walking through the parking lot on the passenger side, and I'm going to go get to my side. And then there's a guy who gets out of the driver's seat car. I don't see him, but he gets out of his car, and he sees me, and he gives me a 2-word response, and that's all. He says, PK. And then he gave me 2 words and then went on his way. What do you think those 2 words were?
Bleep off.
No. It was not your family.
Love you.
That's a decent one, but
Okay.
no.
No, I just said the other one to get a reaction, because usually when people recognize you in public, it's usually positive.
Oh, I think it's always.
The people who are negative are going to be negative anonymously on social media or whatever.
I've never had a negative interaction.
Oh, never? Oh, cool. Okay.
No, it's always been positive. It's always been fun.
Would it be
2 words.
about a team, fill in the team, whatever rule?
You'd suck? No.
Well, that would be negative. I was thinking they'd be pumping up their team.
Cougars rock?
Yeah, something.
Utes rock? No, it was directed to me personally.
Okay, it was you personally. So
It's all sorts of fun. See what you got. Should have put it out on Twitter, but now I would get a lot of.
You to man is 3, so that doesn't work. You to man. Sorry.
You can make it 1, sure.
Duh is not really a word.
You to man.
So it's 2 words.
I was on the Golf Channel last night for a minute. Sorry about
multiple, I don't know if you call it syllables, but duh. You the man. That's a good one.
that. Yeah. Yak, what do you have?
One more guess.
Well, I've been dealing with tickets.
I went with bleep off. It wasn't that.
Okay.
I went with love you. It wasn't that. I went with you to man, and it wasn't that.
I was going to say love you was probably my first guess. So.
You the man. 2 words. And it was funny. He totally caught me off guard because I didn't see him because there's like an SUV there.
Okay, I got one right here that you're probably going to laugh at. You suck.
No, I'm telling you, it was not his family. We were talking about that, how in all the years I've been doing this, radio, television, all that stuff. Maybe newspapers was a little different. I used to get some negative reaction on that.
Yeah.
A lot. But since I've switched over primarily to electronic, it's virtually all positive. But no, he says he gets out of his car, and he sees me coming because I'm like walking from a distance, and I don't know that he's in the car. And he gets out, and he looks at me, PK! Yeah? Never retire! And he just walked away.
Never retire.
We've been here a long time. I wouldn't have gotten to that.
It caught me off guard and made me laugh. And he just kept striding right.
Well, he had places to go.
Yeah, I assume he was
Things
going
to
to the
do.
gym.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right, DJ and PK. When we come back, the commissioner has spoken. You wanted him to speak. And he said what he was supposed to say. But do you believe it and do you agree? There's the rub. We'll get to that next. Stay with us.